All right, so let's talk about script coverage headers and script coverage header information. Now, what are script coverage headers? Script coverage headers are basically just all that information up at the top of the first page of a script coverage that detail the name of the script, the author name, page count, genre, stuff like that. All that information that tells you all about the script that's being covered. Now, there is a variety of ways of doing script coverage headers. It varies greatly from company to company, sometimes even within the same company. It definitely changes from reader to reader, but there's some basics that you want to keep no matter what. Stuff like the title, the author name, the page count, genre, stuff like that. You want to keep these evergreen basic ones in every coverage you do no matter what. But I'm going to zoom into three different script coverages and show you just three different ways of doing script coverage headers, all of which are right, all of which are okay, but some of which have their drawbacks, some of which have their pluses, stuff like that. So we'll zoom into the several different coverages, and I'll kind of break down how each script coverage header information section kind of works for that coverage and how it doesn't, and then we'll just go from there, and hopefully we'll give you kind of some basics on script coverage header information and how to do them and how to kind of just be more prepared for different script coverage header situations that may come down the pipe. Okay, so let's take a look at the first coverage, and this comes to us from an agency, a major talent and literary agency, and you'll notice they've got a lot of header information. Now, why is that? Well, that's just the way this agency likes it. So let's go through these lines one by one, and the first one is the title, the script title. In this case, it's Sarah. Then you've got the author name, pretty self-explanatory. Then the third line you've got here is the writer a client? What does that mean? Well, in this case, it's no. So why would an agent coverage want this on their coverage and their header information? Well, some agents want to know, wait, is this script coming to us from an in-house client? Maybe I should take a look at the actual script itself. Is the coverage any good? Is this writer any good? It's just their way of keeping tabs on their stable of writers, perhaps. For whatever reason, in this case, it's no, so we're just going to move on. We've got the studio, we've got the producer. In both cases, it's Universal. So the script came to the agency via Universal, and it was submitted by non-applicable. So it was probably just, in circulation, came to the agency via Universal somehow, or it's been floating out there. It was submitted to the agency by no particular person, and that's okay. The next line you've got is purpose. Why was it submitted? In this case, it was for open directing. Probably just Universal putting it out there saying, look, hey, would your agency be interested in putting a director onto this project? Or, who do you got that's available to direct? So for whatever reason, we've got open directing here, and who knows what specifically that means in this case. But you generally won't see that on most coverages, perhaps at agency coverages, but not a whole lot of other coverages. The next line you've got is elements attached, and in this case it's non-applicable. Now, what are elements? Basically name actors, name directors, who's aboard this script. So if the agent received the script and let's say Coppola was aboard, or Spielberg was attached to direct, or Brad Pitt was attached, he was interested in doing the script, then you'd want to know that up in this header information, because that's, the agent would probably want to pay closer attention to the script if it was a packaged deal. And then you've got the agent requesting, and that basically just means which agent requested this coverage to take place, which agent threw this into the reader pool or threw it at the reader to provide coverage for. In this case, it was a person named Reed. Up here, you've got the locale in which the script takes place, and in this case, it's Romania. So keep in mind that the locale is different than where the actual script may be shot. So like in this case, it's Romania, but keep in mind the movie could be shot anywhere. So, Europe, it could be Georgia, it could be Canada. Locale just basically gives the agent or the reader of the coverage the general idea of where this is supposed to take place. So that person can get a general idea of how much it's going to cost, or what are the logistics to producing this thing. And then you've got the setting, which is basically where the majority of the action takes place. And in this case, it's a concentration camp. Time period, aka circa, is World War II. The form which the property came in to the agency is a screenplay, 129 pages. Now, keep in mind that form can be a treatment, it could be a short story, it can be a graphic novel, comic book, you name it. And then you've got the budget, and in this case it's listed as medium. Keep in mind that you don't want to list a dollar amount in general when it comes to the budget amount in the header information. The reason why you don't want to list a dollar amount is because you're probably not qualified to really kind of provide an accurate line by line production estimate as far as how much that budget is going to be. So it's safer to just stay on the side of the low, medium, high kind of metric than it is to add a dollar amount to your budget section in your header. The draft date is the date of the draft. Basically, that could be found usually on the front page or title page of the script itself. And then you got the coverage date. In this case, it's July 5th, 1999. And the person who prepared it, prepared by Ryan Jaffe. And then down here you've got genre, and it's broken down into primary genre and secondary genre. The primary being drama, the secondary being Holocaust, World War II. Now usually you'll see genre kind of grouped up together with everything up here, but in this case that's the way they like to do it, so you know, that's the way they do it. But that does vary from other coverages, just so you know. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of those other coverages now. All right, so let's take a look at a coverage from a script coverage company whose name shall remain nameless. I've blurred their logo up here at the top, and I've changed their website name here to a generic website.com. I've also changed some of the, or all of the critical information about this particular script so as not to tick anybody off, I suppose. So the first thing you'll notice is the header information is quite similar to the header information you'll find in this agency coverage that we did. So that is kind of the universal truth of header information. It kind of all looks alike. But you'll notice some key differences. There's significantly fewer line items here in this header information. But we've got the evergreen, the universal ubiquitous elements, of course, still: title, author, circa, location, genre, budget, pages, report dates. All right, so let's go through all these. Title, author, circa, location, genre, budget. We've kind of all covered those before. But then we've got a couple of new ones over here. The coverage. Over here on the right column, coverage basic half-hour consult. Now this is from like I said, a script coverage company, so this is just basically their the product type or service type. So they like to include that on their header information. That makes total sense. Below that, you've got the familiar, already mentioned line item called form, in which case this is a feature screenplay. And then below it, you've got the date received, and that's different from the agency coverage. We don't have a date received over here, but we do have a date received on this one. And that's because I'm suspecting that this is a script coverage company, so they like to see, they like to be able to track when the order came in, that kind of thing. Below that, you've got the report date, which is the same thing as the coverage date. And then you've got how many pages the script is. So that's one way to do it as well, significantly pared down. You know, you still got all the essential information, and it's still all super helpful. All right, now let me show you a third way of doing header information, and that comes to us from my company, screenplayreaders.com. Now you'll notice on page 1 here of the coverage, you got our logo up here, and you've got our header information. But wait, what's this? There's only like 6 lines of header information. There's just the title and the page count and the author name, and that's kind of like sparse, isn't it? Well, compared to this one, yes. And compared to the agency one, oh heck yeah, it's very sparse. We don't have nearly as many lines here, but the reason why we don't is because our clientele are mostly screenwriters and filmmakers, and they have no real use for most of these lines in the header information of the agency coverage. So like what is like submitted and studio and producer, what is that going to help an independent filmmaker or a screenwriter with? It's just basically taking up line space, in our opinion. So we like to keep our header information really nice and sparse and just limit it to the title, the author name, the pages, the genre, subgenre, the circa / time period, and then the analyst's initials, and then the date. And then we get them right down into the meat and potatoes of their coverage as quickly and as easily as possible. So that's it. 3 different script coverages and 3 different ways to do script coverage header information. Whether you do it super simple and elegant and have one bit of information on each line like this, or if you would rather have it tabbed out like this with just slightly few more little bits of information, or if you'd like to overload, kind of top load your document with all the required necessities that your agency or or studio may have in mind. There's no wrong way to do it. The only way you can go wrong doing header information is to get the information wrong itself, or to confuse your reader or client or whoever the target audience of that coverage is. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you soon.